In this video, I'm going to cover some of the features that are covered in Tutorial 4. The first one is working with the PMT function, which is the payment function. Now, this is a file that I was going to use in the live class for the lecture, and we're just going to focus on this left side, which is the automobile loan. So let me go ahead and increase the size. So the purpose of using the PMT function is really to help you manage your finances, and we're going to go ahead and project what the cost would be on a monthly basis for a particular payment. Now, there are certain arguments that you would need for this payment function. So let's go over some of the items that we have here. First of all, for an automobile loan or any kind of loan, the number of years to pay back the loan. So we have 5 in there for 5 years. And then we have total number of payments. Normally when we make payments on a loan, it's a monthly payment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a formula to calculate how many months are in 5 years. So we're going to press the equal sign, click on the number of years for the loan, and then multiply it by the number of months in a year. And since that's something that doesn't change, rather than typing it in a cell and then clicking on that cell, we're just going to make it a constant value in the formula itself. Now we have a loan that is $20,000, and the interest payment or the interest rate for the loan is 3.9%. Now this is an annual interest rate, so even though you don't see the word annual over here on the left hand side, keep in mind most loans are not 3.9% per month. If they are, go to another loan officer or go somewhere else to get that loan. So let's go ahead and let's do the PMT function. So what would be the monthly payment if we made the payment at the beginning of each month? So I'm going to go up to the Formulas tab, and from the Formulas tab, we're going to go to the Financial group. And then from the Financial group, we're going to scroll down and find PMT. And now we have the PMT function dialog box. Let's go over the different arguments that we have here. You can see that we have 5 arguments with 3 of them that are required, 2 of them are not. So the first one is the rate. So this is the interest rate per period for the loan. So for example, if it were 6% annual and you're making 4 payments a year, you would take the percentage and divide by the number of payments per year. Well, as you can see, we don't have a monthly interest rate, and we're looking at finding our monthly payments. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the annual interest rate, and we're going to have to divide it by the number of payments. So for the first argument, instead of clicking on a cell that has the monthly rate, which we could have put that in the spreadsheet, we're just going to go ahead and use the data that we currently have in the spreadsheet, and that is taking the annual interest rate, which is what's in cell C10, and divide it by the number of total payments for this particular loan. Now we're going to move to the second argument, which is the NPER, and this is the total number of payments for the loan. Now that actually is in this spreadsheet, so all we have to do is click on the cell that contains the number of payments in the loan. If it were not in this spreadsheet, then we would create a formula that would take the number of years and multiply it by 12. But since we already did that in the spreadsheet, we can just click on the cell that contains the total number of payments. Now we're going to move to the third argument, which is the present value, and that really is how much do we owe on this loan right now. So we're going to go ahead and click on the loan amount, and you can see already you have the value listed, or the answer in this case is how much we would have to pay monthly on this loan of $20,000 at an annual rate of 3.9% for 5 years, which is going to be 60 months. Let me talk about the FV. FV stands for future value, or the balance of the loan after we've made all these payments. Now we're not going to type anything in this particular argument because obviously if we're making monthly payments on the loan, at the end or the life of the loan, we want the balance to be 0. And as far as the type, this is where we're going to change this later on, but type represents a logical value, and a logical value, anytime you read that, means it's a 0 or a 1. And in this case, the payment at the beginning of the period, we would type a number 1 in this argument. If we're going to make the payment at the end of the period or the end of the month, we would type a 0 or leave it alone. Well, as you can see, we're finding the beginning or the payment at the beginning of the month, so we are going to have to type a number 1 in the type argument, since we are again looking for what would be the cost or the monthly payment if we made the payment, let's say, the first of each month rather than the last day of the month. Let me go ahead and click, and then we have $339.76. Now it's in red because that's actually obviously what's going out of our pocket. So if you want to change that, you can't just do a font color change. You actually have to come up in the formula bar and put a minus sign in front of the function name, in other words, between the equal sign and the function name, and that's how you can get it to change from red to black. So there's nothing we can do on the Home tab to change the font color. There's nothing we can do on the number command to actually change the formatting. Let's go ahead and do another one, and we're going to see what it would be if we made the payment at the end of the month. So we're going to go ahead and go to Financial, and we're going to go to PMT. Same information, what's the rate, but keep in mind this is the annual, so we're going to divide it by 12, and then the number of payments for the life of the loan, well, that's already in the spreadsheet, and then the amount of the loan, that's the PV, present value. Obviously we want to have a zero balance, so we're going to leave FV alone. And as far as the type this time, it's going to be a payment at the end of the period or the end of the month, so we can either type a 0 here or we can just leave it blank. So we're going to go ahead and just leave it blank. I'm going to click OK, and we're also going to come up here and get rid of that red, and we're going to put a minus sign between the equal sign and the function name. So you can see a big difference if you make the payment at the beginning of the month on the first of each month compared to the last day of each month, and that's the payment function. If you want to bring this spreadsheet up and work on it on your own, you can go to the course link in Blackboard and go to Lecture Files and download the Tutorial 4 lecture files. And I also have the actual formulas over here on the key as well.